Here's a brief content warning for my upcoming conversation with the Black Box Diaries director Shiori Itō. We are talking about her case. We don't get into the specifics, but for anyone susceptible to that sort of subject, please proceed with caution. To open up our conversation about the film as a whole, how do you think Japan has responded since your book has come out and maybe overseas as the film is premiering at more festivals?
We still don't have any distribution date yet in Japan, unfortunately, but it is a great start that we can kick off the screening here in Zurich. I know it's going to be open to theatrical release here, and then US, UK, and then, along as different film festivals so that we kind of can pressure them that, you can't ignore us, because it's my love letter to Japan and to my sister, my friends, my family. So hopefully we'll get there. But it's just that I guess, as I kind of portrayed in the film, I guess Japanese society wasn't ready to talk about it. And there are still strong stigma against it. But I'm sure it's not just Japan. I'm sure it's, everywhere else. And it's such a universal topic as well. But I am actually a bit surprised that, we don't have any dates yet in Japan. It's been a while, but hopefully it's going to happen.
Is it becoming more frustrating to you that on a legislative level that there's nothing that is happening faster? Obviously, the movie would be another step into that direction, just for awareness.
Yeah, hope so. The change is super slow. But then some says, but we haven't changed it for 110 years. So, it is changing, but we can't wait another 110 years. So we still have a lot to, update. And I'm sure every year there's something new that we have to oversee. So it's a process. And I really hope this film will screen in Japan and will open the conversation. But we had a first screening here in Zurich yesterday, and I felt like there are so many other discussions that's happening here in this amazing country for me to compare to Japan. But then, of course, Norway is perfect. And I'm just so happy seeing a new conversation happening in different places.
And with the different forms that you could talk about this, maybe the news is where it's immediate, the novel is where it gets really personal and it is very direct, and then in movie form it is a bit more constructed in a way, but they all have different... They use different approaches to basically get to the same end result. So how was it for you to make a movie about it, other than writing, because that's more a collaborative effort?
Yeah, exactly. I wrote the book, I've been covering stories, and that's often done just with me and my laptop. But film takes a village to make. And I was just so happy and thrilled that finally I had a team together who really wants to tell this story. They're a big warriors to me because we have to go through many legal phases as well. So, and now we're traveling together. So it's great that I love the way we worked over 8 years. They almost became like family to me. And just comparing, just also making film, the process is different, but also the way we can deliver is so different. I never, made a feature film. So before I only made docs for TV and online platformers. So it's first time that I meet the audience right after they've seen it. And I just love the space where we feel like it's a safe place to share the experience. And for the Q&A, we can share the thoughts. And it's such a beautiful way to witness and take it. So I think I want to do more films.
The topic in the movie is also that you don't feel safe, and it's in the book as well, right? Do you feel safer now as years go past, or is it still something that lingers with you?
I feel like the fear I had in the very early phase was from the power. What can they possibly do? But now the case is very public. I don't think they can do anything. But of course, there are still a big online trolls and threat. And I don't know sometimes which, what is, what I should be aware of, what level. So before releasing this film, I have to make sure to have a safe house. So I moved myself to Berlin. And yeah, it's a bit crazy, and I hope in a few years I can laugh about myself, oh, that was, me being paranoid. But yeah, I feel a bit afraid every time I go back to Japan.
Yeah, it really is another really powerful moment in the film where you're meeting with a group and they share the stories of how there's an underlying thing of how you always prepare yourself for certain things that you're taught, that it kind of with shifting the blame in an odd way of like, oh yeah, you're responsible in a way. And the more and more we openly talk about it, I think you're making great progress and being a part of just bringing that conversation into the forefront to shift that dialogue, and hopefully, yeah, just generally in the public as well. I found your just collection of everything and whoever you're interacting with, was that for you more on the journalistic side where you wanted to hold on to everything, every bit of evidence, or was that more on the court side, the recording and every conversation that you had? Because it works perfectly for the movie, right? Because you have all of those recordings. Was that part of making the movie, or was it
No,
for
first
you?
2 years was just purely just having all these documents yeah, with me, because I just didn't believe the police was doing their job, and for protection reason I start recording. And then when I went public, I think that was the time I felt like, well, okay, the media are not ready. Maybe I have to be the one who tell the story, not just investigate. And so that was a moment that I start thinking about the film and documenting. But it's also me, my life. So it's not like I could direct, okay, now let's set a camera or something. So it was just me and my friend, who's my producer, and other friend who just kept that, documenting everything. So we didn't really have a set idea of a camera work, anything. It was just organically happening. So we never had a sound person, but we had a really amazing sound ninja for the post-production. So that worked out later. But so yeah, it was really intimate film setting.
I think a shout out needs to go out to your editor. I think it's really expertly edited, just from the opening and how you approach heading into the story and the way it ebbs and flows. How much of everything you recorded are you trying to capture certain small victories that you're having, or are you leaving out setbacks because the too hard to capture, or like too frustrating to keep repeating, because the movie feels like we are having these small victories step by step as well? I guess you got to see the film yourself as well, right? You watched it. How did you feel like experiencing it again?
Well, this film took 8 years for us to make, and editing was 4 years. So
Right.
yeah, it was just like a huge exposing therapy session, because I have to really remember, revisit everything what was happening, that the part that I wish I can forget. But in the end, like, constructing the story really made me empowered, that I feel like I have power, that I can tell my story from my own point of view. So that was important. And these shot that you just said is something I revisited all my diaries and trying to remember where I was, what I was looking. So I went back with my small camera and start filming. So from my point of view, and of course, editing was the crucial part, but also it was really key to keep the chronological way of editing. But at the same time, I didn't want to put any voice over of me from today, because I feel like I'm so different today, and I want to keep it unfolding what was happening that time. So that was really challenge. So that, I think, these point of view B-rolls are the only thing that I kind of added later. But yeah, everything else was just happening that moment, and I had amazing collaborator, editor, who just beautifully put it all together. But we had so many discussions as well.
I mean, the movie is called Black Box Diaries, referring to the court not be like stuff happening in a black box, so you can't address it. Your whole movie feels like, well, all of this is happening to me. I get to open that black box as these diaries. And was it for you in a way because the media in Japan and wasn't really covering it as well, for you a way to, I guess, be that voice, that it directly comes from you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a taboo to talk about your own story as a journalist, but I had to because, and it was great example for me to use as my case and why it's not working with our current, rape law. So, but I feel like if everything, not if the police was first of all, took the case, and if the thing was working, okay for as a survivor, I don't think I wrote the book. I don't think I made a book. I don't think I spoke about it. So this film and my experience of why I want to speak is not what happened to me, but what happened after, how we deal with it legally, in investigation and media.
Yeah, and there's still so much to happen there because the trauma that stays with you and everyone else who's suffered under this is eternal. It doesn't go away. Something else that I found to be really emotional in the film was that you bring up having this drive to work on this is prolonging you having to face yourself and deal with that, and with the continuation of the book, a film. Have you gotten any closer to that, or do you still feel like there's a part of you that's like keeping yourself distracted?
What do you mean by that?
It's a hard thing to phrase it correctly, like to actually have the time to work through it, not being in the spotlight constantly and being this driving force and the face of it all. Has that given you room to deal with it, like for you to deal with it on a personal level?
I think the once I made a film, I felt that strong feeling that, okay, now the story is not just on my shoulder, it's troubles. So in that way, it was a huge release.
Because I'm contributing right now to this, and
Yeah.
it's
No, it's a lot.
yeah.
And but so yeah, the producer and who became really good friend of mine, like my family, Hannah, she always tells me, why don't you just start covering about, maybe cat or food, just, get away from this topic.
Yeah.
But then I keep going back. I've been covering about FGM in Sierra Leone or, different gender violence around the world, and it's never ends. But through asking question to someone else too, it helps me to find words or understanding of why it happens or what the structural problem is. And there's always some connection, even though, geographically speaking, it's quite far away. So it's a never ending search. But also, I do believe in storytelling in many ways, in any format. So, and then I think that's the key as a human being to find a way for these answers, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, you were interested in local journalism. That was what you wanted to focus on.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes back to, you want to get to the root, to the actual people, instead of political or whatever, the affiliations by whatever mouthpiece from, it just goes regurgitated down in opinions. You want to stay on the facts and with the people, and I think that's something really to admire, and it comes through in your story when you in the film, in your novel, everywhere. And Well, another question for you was also how does it feel like? I guess you already answered this, but as a journalist on the other side, I guess flipping that side where you see a lot of what you would have done and how it's being reported on. I guess it's also another topic that is with the movie coming out. I assume there's going to be more, maybe potentially down the line, once it gets hopefully a release in Japan. What do you expect, and how you're preparing yourself for the release there? You don't know yet? Take it day by day.
Yeah, well, now I have a place, safe house at least, and also just traveling with this film, different places. I feel like I got other safe houses and people that I can come back to. So but I think I've done my job as a storyteller, and it just depends on a viewer, audience, how they're gonna take it. So I am not lawmaker, I'm not politician, so that's not my job. But I hopefully it will somehow open up the conversation and they will take it.
As you said, you also don't want to be reduced to the one thing you've been labeled as. And with you looking forward, and you said that maybe potentially doing other documentaries in the future, do you already have maybe your eyes set on a certain region, a topic, or anything that you would be interested in?
Yes, I mean, because this film took 8 years, I already have some other project on side and making. But somehow, because I guess I keep traveling with this film now, I'm gonna do something new, and there's no logic behind it, but I'm so somehow drawn into Amazonas area and border of Myanmar and Thailand. So I think how I love to make always the film is to go to that place and find the person who I want to tell the story through. So I think I will start from just being there, observe, live in, embed, and I can't wait to tell someone else's story.
I can imagine. I can imagine. I think that's all the time we got. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Black Box Diaries opens this week in US and UK theaters on October 25th and in Swiss theaters on the 31st of October as well. So go give the film a watch. Let us know what you thought of it in the comments, and we'll see you soon.